Greetings, family. Moonas Magica here for another tutorial. I did something really silly, and the last tutorial, based on the innocent naivety of the human being, I hammered the ring, and then I basically stretched out the cubit. So I took that tutorial down to share the correct way to make a bangle. And that is that we hammer the twisted wire before we cut our cubit. So we're gonna do that. And of course, being a creator comes with a lot of humility as well, as I've taken the role as a guide and a teacher. The teacher also is equally the student. So being a student of life, I feel that it's right to be integrous with everything, and based on my interpretation of integrity, I want to teach as correct as possible. So on that note, we're going to make the tensor bangle with the closed loop, and follow along. These are very beautiful creations, and sending you so much love. Let's get into it. All I think about is you, oh, even when I'm with my boo. I'm gonna do this for you.
Oh.
That's a bangle tattoo.
Hey.
Real, so let's do it. I'm gonna get this 10 gauge wire and we're gonna twist it. That's the first step we'll do. Then we will cut the cube. After hammering this time, because I am you. And now we're gonna do that closed loop. And then we're gonna throw in the salt and vinegar, and it is almost done. Then we go back to the show. Yes, let's go. Take out some flow. And then you're gonna
Alright,
get...
that's enough over there.
Alright, so we got our 10... Alrighty, so we've got our 10 gauge wire. I'm going to cut a good amount, just like that, alright? I'm gonna speak with a firm teacher voice here.
Thank God you just sang to them for
So, once again, you know how we do it here at Moonas Magica. We crimp our ends, so just like that. We got maybe 2 feet of 10 gauge pure copper wire right here. Alright guys, I gotta teach you one thing. Make sure you're in the heart space, okay? Make sure your intention is pure when you're doing this. Because the copper is a crystal and it listens to you and it knows your energetic vibration, and it's gonna receive and attract what you're putting into it. So as we twist, make sure you're in your beautiful heart. You know what that feels like. You know the difference between positive and negative. And if you don't, then that's okay. I can teach you that too, maybe. Okay, let's twist. Okay, I found a wild sound healer. This is, by the way, this is Earth Angel Frequencies. She is a teacher of sound and frequency and vibration. And she is now going to be the hook. I'm turning you into a hook. How does that feel?
I mean, it ain't the first time, boo. Here we go. What you want to do is you want to grasp it really firm so that he can pull and you just stay where you are and pull at the same time very lightly.
Ready? Go. Thank you.
You're welcome. I put in really a lot of love in this one.
Oh, I feel it. All right, so we've twisted our wire. Just like that. Beautiful. Clockwise spin. Next step. All right, so this is the twisted wire, and we're going to hammer it now before we cut our cubit, which is the very innocent error that one made before. I was just like hanging out and I'm like, wait, you hammer the wire and it stretches. So we want to, if we're doing the hammered tools, we want to hammer before cutting our cubit. It seems really obvious, but sometimes a man like me overlooks the obvious. So I'm here to return. I actually had a brother be like, where'd the Bangle tutorial go? And I took it down because I'm teaching you the right way. So let's keep going. So I'm gonna hammer this. I'll get the block out. Okay, so I've got a hammer block and a jeweler's hammer. It's pretty small. I honestly am going to invest in a larger one because it would just be a lot easier if I had a larger hammer. But you know, we live and we learn and we grow, and I'm going to invest in that. Anyways, for this tutorial, for what we have available, let's go. So when you're hammering, you want to like feed it through. So here we go. And it's a very even hit, and you're kind of fishing it through. And it's gonna curl up like that, which is very okay because copper is really malleable. And then you can just straighten it back out as you go. And then get the other side. So the hammering isn't necessary, but I do like the style of it. So for the sake of this tutorial, we could call this the hammered Viking or Atlantean cubit bangle. And as I said, this is really good for the men. And the cubit that I like to utilize for the feminine are the lost cubit. I found that that's a great size. So I just straightened it out again. And we're not going to do all this length because, as I said, the copper stretches. Absolutely gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. So at this point, I am just making sure, keeping it straight as I hammer, so I keep an even I like it when it's pretty hammered. It feels good. So you can kind of see we're starting to make it flat on one end and flat on the other. So I'm going to do this for a little bit more. So you kind of feel it into it yourself. I'm getting to the point where I'm liking the style. I think I'm gonna do one more round here, and then we're gonna measure our cubit. Making sure it's even the whole way down. Yeah. All right, so we've got our hammered wire. Very beautiful. I'll show you. Just like that. I'll do a close up here. Okay, let's measure our cubit. Okay, so we're gonna file our one end down. Perfectly straight. You can even look with your eye. Close one eye and see, okay, that's perfectly straight, it's even. So we're going to put this end right nice and flat. And we have our Viking cubit, which is the Atlantean 26.61 divided by 2. And we're going to mark right on the cubit and cut a little bit to the right so we don't undercut. And then you can file right down. So I've got an ebook with a lot of the cubit lengths that is available. I will attach it to this video. Okay, so we've got our hammered wire cut precisely to the Viking or Atlantean cubit, making sure that it's a perfect length. And let's move on. Okay, so basically, kind of like the Triskelion, is you find your center and then come a little bit to the right or the left. And with the hammered sides facing that way and this way, so I'm not doing it like that, I'm doing it like this. I'm going to just bend one end like that, and bring it in. So now we have the hammered end still facing me and facing you. And then what we can do is grab some pliers here and just squeeze that in. And you'll see why I said to do it towards you and towards me, because it's still like a perfectly flat, and you can play with it as you go, but I'll guide you through the next step. So we do that because we're now going to bend the longer end in. I'm using teethless pliers right here. So at this point, I'm actually realizing that it's pretty tough. So I'm going to anneal the wire at this point, so I can soften it, so I can get a perfect bend and get the two ends connecting perfectly so we can have a closed loop. So let's anneal this to soften the wire. So that's our annealed wire. Give it a moment to cool down, and then we'll join our ends. Alright family, hope you're doing well in this eternal new now moment. So we have now our annealed wire, and you'll see why I did that. This is where you want a couple of tools, a couple of pliers. Beauty. Yeah, annealing makes the, especially if you're working with a thicker gauge, like I'm using a 10 gauge for the men here. So beautiful. Such a pure reflection divine creativity, getting these frequencies in. So basically this is what we have. We've got that first loop, and see how these are joining up? Make sure, just like that. And I can look, and I'm actually going to adjust it just a little bit. So I grabbed some pliers that would be good for that, and I'm just gonna bend it inwards. So see how that's meeting up perfectly? I'll show you. I want to get a good shot for you here. So on this end, see how those are flowing perfectly into each other? We've got our closed loop. So now we can braze that. All right, a few steps away is the brazing station. So I'm gonna... So now we have our perfectly joining ends there, creating the closed loop. All right, from here, we do what we do best. Beautiful. And that's it. And that, my dear friends. So I was able to share the tutorial because I got an order for this one. And it's really cool to get the order complete while doing the tutorial. So that is the Bangle, and I'm gonna put this in the pickle, let it polish, cool down. I'll maybe come back and show you the finished creation. So what's really cool about these is they have that energy that the ring has because it's the closed loop. So instead of just cutting a cubit and then not having it joined like the rings do, it doesn't have the same energetic qualities as the closed loop because we're getting that life force energy, which is different than just cutting it and not making it a closed loop. You understand what I'm saying? So that's really it. It's a beautiful piece. The key is to hammer prior to cutting your cubit, and then don't hammer it again because you have the potential of stretching it out and elongating the length of the wire, and then you've lost your frequency and your cubit length. So let's put this in the pickle, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, family. This turned out really beautiful. Feels so good. So now I'm just making the bangle shape. And I can use my wrist as a example. Yeah, get some pliers here. So using teethless pliers so we don't damage the copper. That's it. That's a hammered Atlantean cubit, 10 gauge pure copper wire tensor bangle with the energetics of divine love ingrained. Hope this serves you. Have a wonderful now moment.